can you be default aggressive and relaxed in jiu-jitsu?
Okay, yeah, this seems like two opposing things that you can't do at the same time, but the actual fact is, yes, you can and you should. So you want your maneuvers to be aggressive, but you don't want to be using a bunch of strength to execute the maneuvers, right? You want to aggressively escape your opponent's position before your opponent gets settled. Therefore, you don't have to use strength. You can use you can relax. You can be proactive. Same thing with defending a submission attempt. You want to defend that submission attempt aggressively before the submission attempt gets settled in. You want to move aggressively. Again, I'm not talking about strength and spazzing. I'm talking about moving aggressively before your opponent moves and get ahead of them on their OODA loop. When you get ahead of them on their OODA loop, they're going to have issues with you. And so, yeah, absolutely. You can be default aggressive and at the same time you can be relaxed, and you should. That should be your goal. Do you sometimes have to use strength in jiu-jitsu? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Sometimes you got to power out of something. The reason you had to power out of something is because you were too late, because you weren't moving aggressively enough. You weren't moving quickly enough. And so then you got to power out of something. You got to claw those hands, claw that guillotine off your neck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know when you get a guillotine on someone and they're clawing your fingers away from their neck?
Yes.
Yeah. So when that happens, that person was late.
Yeah.
And now they're clawing. They're resorting to strength. They're resorting to panic, clawing at your fingers. Yeah. Sometimes it usually doesn't even matter. They can claw. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Good.
No.
I like that sense of panic that I feel when they're clawing.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. You seem like you like it a lot. It's good, man.
So that's what it is. And by the way, this is true in life as well, right?
Yeah.
Like if you are maneuvering correctly as a leader, you don't have to get aggressive at people because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't have to yell. If you have to yell as a boss, guess what? Your intent wasn't followed. Your plan wasn't understood. There's so many mistakes that you made if you're yelling as a leader. Do you never have to yell? Yeah, so sometimes you can yell because you got to make sure you get that emotional point across. Sometimes you got to make sure that someone doesn't seem to realize that the mistake that they made is severe enough that it warrants a yelling, and therefore it doesn't matter to them because their dad yelled at them their whole life. Well, so if you're not yelling, they don't get it. So can you run into that problem occasionally? Very occasionally. Very, very rarely should you run into that situation, because if you're doing the right job, being default aggressive as a leader, you should be in situations where you never have to yell because your people understand what it is that they're supposed to be doing. They understand why they're supposed to be doing it. They understand what the plan is. They understand what the contingencies were. They understand what the intent that you had was. They understand the way that this fits strategically into the situation. They understand all those things. And if they understand all those things, then they're going to do the right thing. And if they understand all those things and they still do something that doesn't make sense, well, maybe they do deserve to get yelled at. But again, the first person I check is myself. And say, well, I obviously had to make this clear enough. So yes, relax harder.
So yelling is to leading as using strength is to jiu-jitsu.
Somewhat.
You got to do it every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Or if you're late, maybe you lacked on your technique earlier, you got to kind of make up for it a little bit.
But think about this. You hurt your stamina when you use your strength.
Right. You pay up a little price there.
When I yell at you because something went wrong and you're my subordinate, when I yell at you, I pay a little price for that too.
Yeah.
Because it better be important. Yeah. And I better really think about it because I didn't do anything to build our relationship in a positive manner by yelling at you. Yeah. Right? Didn't do anything.
Yeah. Just like you didn't improve your jiu-jitsu technique or knowledge when you use strength.
Or really, I guess you improved your situation for a moment, right? Because you escaped, but now you're more tired. Just like if I yelled at you to do something and you did it because you were like, okay, well, fine, I don't want to get yelled at anymore, so I'm just going to do this thing that he told me to do. It's temporary. It's a temporary fix. It's a temporary fix.
Yeah, you know how like JP will say, aggressive, it isn't, or default aggressive isn't towards people, it's towards making things happen. So in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. So it's like, I don't aggressively, like it's in a way, you kind of can narrow it down to the timing thing. It's either taking action or hesitating kind of thing. So you just don't really hesitate. You can lay back if that's part of the strategy and stuff like that. You can relax when it's part of the strategy, but it's about making things happen. Like, what are you trying to make things happen timing-wise? So you know how like you have the thing Tim Ferriss asked, what is the disrespect? Remember you asked me that? What's the disrespect?
Oh.
It's a jiu-jitsu move. Yeah, guard pass. You made up, by the way.
Yeah.
You made up the terminology as well. So the disrespect is basically when a guy pulls guard or you're in a guard scenario, it's actually not even a guard scenario yet. It's like you essentially treat that person like they don't even have a guard. Like the guard doesn't even exist. That's how little respect you have for the guard, and then you just pass. But when you kind of think about it, when I think about it, when you've done it to me the times you have, it is literally that. So before I can establish any kind of position to establish guard, you're you're past it. You're done. You don't even consider the guard.
You know what's weird is where people get confused on this though, is they think, oh, so you're saying move faster.
Yeah.
Right? That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm sure I'll think of this at a later time, but it's not about moving faster. Yeah. It's about moving more aggressively, right?
Yeah,
it's not faster. It's like being proactive and being aggressive and shutting down the situation before it even becomes the situation that you know it's going to become.
Yep. So if you take, like you said, like if you take taking action and hesitation, you take those two, it's basically you're narrowing the hesitation down to zero if possible.
That's action.
Literally what it is. Yeah. Just take action. And again, you can relax, you can wait, but it's not hesitation waiting. It's waiting. It's like more like being patient or waiting for a very specific reason. You can do all those things, but there's no hesitation. That's what I think that is. And then obviously it's going to vary from game to game. Yeah, this is something
you hear over and over and over again in combat leadership philosophies. Like doing something now is better than waiting.
Yeah,
doing something that's pretty good right now is infinitely better than doing something that's great in 2 days.
Yeah. Good plan now, right? Better than a great plan later.
It's like be aggressive, make something happen.
Yeah.
Like that is so important. Can you overdo it? Yes, you can. Can you make stupid decisions because you rushed? Yes, you can. Yeah. Is there a dichotomy in this? Absolutely there is. There's a dichotomy in every part of it. So, and every type of leadership, there's a dichotomy in jiu-jitsu, right? There's because if I just rush to a situation, well, that might be the situation that you wanted me to rush to. You gave me the opening, the trap.
Yeah, the trap.
So
it's like, when you're like helping your friend move and then you have like 3-4 other friends, and everyone's waiting around to be like, okay, where do we start? Okay, where do we put? Where do we start? Who's starting first kind of thing? The default aggressive guy, he's just going to start moving stuff.
Yeah.
And that seems like, okay, that's like a little lighthearted scenario, but that's real. That's when I would run into it. When there's a bunch of people and we're all capable of making the decision, it kind of paralyzes everyone because...
Oh, this is so true. That scenario that you're talking about, it happens over and over and over again in the business world. It happens over and over again on the battlefield. It happens on the training field where there's a bunch of people and no one's taking leadership position.
Yeah, like
and all it takes is someone to say, "Hey, we're moving this over here." Hey, get all this stuff off the truck right now. Yeah. Boom. Guys are like, "Okay, cool. We'll make it happen."
Yeah, like your oil rig scenario. Yeah, the main one.
That's the exact same thing.
Yeah, and if you're default aggressive, meaning that's your default. That's your zero. You're that 100%. Then you're just handling business your whole life.
Until you take it too far and you're trying to run stuff that other people might have a better vision of what to do. Yeah. Like if I'm only moving for the first time ever on our moving team and I come in, I'm like, hey, guess what? Hey, we're going to start getting this heavy stuff. And you're like, hey, actually, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
We should do this. We should get this stuff in here into the truck first or whatever, right? Because you've been doing it longer. So even though it's got to be your default mode, again, there's a dichotomy. You can push it too far.
Yeah. To keep your eyes open.